What is up, pipe reformers? Look at that gray sky. I'm out here doing a video. Anyways, I'm here today to talk to you guys about a awesome book. It's called Tools of the Titans by Tim Ferriss. I am going to tell you why. It's a thick book. It's about 700 pages. I'm going to tell you why this book is important and why you should read it in this video. It's got a lot of stories compiled over like 100 interviews. It's Tim Ferriss' second book. He wrote the 4 Hour Workweek, and everybody was like, well, how the heck is he gonna follow that one up? Well, this book's better. And it's basically habits and tricks and tips from like high performance people, just to name a few. We got like Jocko, Willink, Navy SEAL, Robert Rodriguez, Hollywood producer, Jamie Foxx, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Tony Robbins. You know, he collected a lot of these interviews in a notebook of what these people do and what these people, you know, there's some fitness stuff in there. There's actually diagrams like showing you how to do some of the exercises. He interviewed Laird Hamilton, big wave surfer, an athlete who's married to Gabby Reese, the volleyball player and sports announcer. But there's 100 interviews in here. It's like interview style. Tim asks these really cutting edge questions on, like, you know, what makes these people perform, what makes them different. So that leads me to a quote I want to read by Mark Twain. I think it's relevant to this book. Anyways, it says, whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect. Okay, high performers? So when you find yourself on the side of majority, it's time to pause and reflect. You don't want to be like the masses, folks. You don't want to go with the flow. You want to cut your own path. And that's what Tim did in this book. He talks about routines, he talks about physical exercise, he talks about habits. You know, it was done over years. It was like he compiled all this stuff in a notebook. What set these people apart? And, you know, it's a thick book. I got through it in no time. It was so damn good. It was so interesting, like, because it wasn't just Tim writing the whole thing. It was almost like these people wrote it. You know, he would lay out the questions in an interview style, and either him and his people would compile the interview and rewrite it in a really interesting way, to where it was almost like you're reading a book with like 100 different authors. People that I read that he interviewed in this book, it's only like a drop in the hat. There's like hundreds, or there's 100, and I had to Google some, and I learned about some. Some had interesting books on their own. He mentions Malcolm Gladwell, which wrote the 10,000 hour rule, which I read, and I'll interview that at a later date. But anyways, this book opens your eyes to a lot of people you might not be aware of, and their habits and their techniques. He talks about Rick Rubin, uses like famous producer. He uses like hot saunas and all these things you may not think about. And I just want to stop and say for a minute here, folks, the reason why it's so easy to beat the masses, the reason why it's so easy to get a leg up on the competition, is because most people are sheep. They do not have certain habits, rituals, fitness, mindset, techniques that goes away from the beaten path. That's why I read you that Mark Twain quote, okay? You need to stop and reflect if you're doing what everybody else is doing. If you're just a miserable college graduate with a car payment, a family, a job, and you're just bumming out, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're happy, that's great, man. Build your life. But he talks about in this book all these people that did things a slight different way. That's why it's called Tools of the Titans, that's what it's called. Anyways, there's little tricks and tips in here that can just, it's so easy to beat the 98%, become the 2%, because 98% of you guys don't do any of this stuff. Okay, and I'm just as guilty, you know. I'm trying to build skills that are not the same as what everybody else is doing, that are slightly different, that are slightly skewed. It's almost laughable how easy it is to just not go with the flow, not be a sheep, and get ahead. I've done it. I'm still doing it. I'm working on it. I'm still growing. I'm still educating. That's why I read these kind of books. This book was like 700 pages. I rifled through this thing in like a week because it was so damn interesting. It was so compelling. And like I said, it's written by people that you've heard of. Like Tim Ferriss interviews all these people. You know, what gave you this mindset? What gave you this mental edge? What gave you this fitness edge? Why are saunas, like ice baths, why is that important? You know, this is not new age technology. This is not all the freaky people doing this stuff. This stuff works. This stuff holds a key to some successes. And you might want to try it. You might want to read. You might want to try these unorthodox approaches and find out for yourself, you know, why are these people into this? Why are they consistently in these books getting ahead with, you know, thoughts and techniques that the masses would never even come up with? You know, this book was awesome, and he's got even another one out. Tim Ferriss, author of the 4-Day Workweek, his follow-up book, Tools of Titans. I keep saying it wrong. It was an awesome book, awesome read, thick book. You will get through it in no time. I give his book 5 stars. I would have gave it 10. And if you want to buy it, you can use the link below. Please subscribe and please thumbs up my video.